Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and a business partner with the Juice Plus company. And my mission in life is to inspire healthy living around the world and to help people understand that life is better when they're dancing through it. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. Because we only get one body to live in while we're here on earth, and we are meant to be happy and joyful. And I think that we should spread that happiness and joy throughout the world as much as possible. And so that brings us to these conversations on this YouTube channel. And my theory is that every single person has a story to share. And it doesn't matter if we share the same political beliefs, or we're at the same economic level, or we have completely different cultural backgrounds. We can learn something from every single person as long as we have an open mind and an open heart. And so today we get to have a conversation with Luz Zambrano. And hopefully I didn't butcher that. And I was introduced to this amazing woman through my brother, Scott, who has connected me with people with the most interesting stories. And I would love to highlight what Luz has done, because you first came to the United States in 2001 from Venezuela, and you studied in Rochester, New York, right?
Yeah.
Mechanical engineering and design. And so I would love to see, for people that are just watching this for the first time and getting to know you, I'd love for you to sort of take us through your story from when you first came to the United States, how you got your degree, what you did with that, and then how you ended up with this company called Casupo. And the website is casupo.co, and we will talk about that a little bit later, and I'll put that in the information below. So just walk us through your life.
Yes, I moved here in 2001 when I was 19. I lived in Venezuela with my parents and my two brothers, and I decided to be the first one to leave the house super far away and just brave it. My thought was, I'll learn English in the summer and I'll start classes in the fall. And in my mind,
very brave to come to the United States without knowing how to speak English.
I just thought it's totally doable. In my mind, no, there's no issue with that. And of course, it was really hard. I tried to commit myself to only speak English for the whole summer to make it through and pass the test so I could actually start classes. And I started classes and I did industrial design, which was really fun. As a person that doesn't speak fluent English, it was a great major to take because there was a lot of more expression through design and drawings and a more visual way. So I got by with it, but there was like a lot of subjects like art history was a 3-quarter class, and it was like a whole year commitment, and there was a lot of reading, and that was the more challenging one. And then when I caught up to my English, I picked another major to kind of add to my knowledge and my skills, which was mechanical engineering. And I found that it was actually a really great major to have without your fluent English, because it's all about the numbers and calculus, and like it was very much an international language. Right. So I think maybe that's what made it a little bit easier in my mind, because I wanted to learn how things were made inside and not just designed outside of a product. So in industrial design, you're designing any type of 3-dimensional product. And I felt like it was an incomplete major, so I wanted to learn the mechanics behind things. So that's what got me to that mechanical engineering.
Well, I think that was like the perfect pairing for you, because what you did with that was you went into like shoe design?
Yeah. So after that, my first job was an internship at New Balance, and I was super lucky, and I got to work with the dance concept team. And my very first project was to design the layout for a manual to make a shoe. Like, it's called Footwear Development Manual. And so in making that, which was more of like a graphic design project, I had to read through all the technicalities of making a shoe. And so I learned the mechanics of a shoe before I got to actually design the shoes. And that was very interesting And so you can do, when you work in shoes, you can do two things. You can be a shoe designer, or you can be a shoe developer, a footwear developer. And so usually designers go for footwear design because it's just kind of what we love to do. But I just fell in love with the insight of making a product, that like making a mold, making sure that it's well fitted and that it's produced in a timely manner, and like the sample looks good and the color and the spec sheet. So I decided to go for footwear development because I just fell in love with the manual that I was making.
And this manual was, you said, for a dance team?
No, it was I was working in the advanced team
Oh,
concept.
the advanced team. I thought
Yeah,
you were working for a dance team, and I thought, oh, well, I love that because I
that
have.
would be amazing. I know.
But okay, so that's great. So I see that that is really important to be able to understand all of the details before you start designing the outside. You got to know how the foot actually fits into the shoe
Yeah.
and how it's going to feel the best and be the best support for somebody. So that's amazing,
Yeah,
right?
I still love the intricacies of making any product, and shoes is what I made for like 15 years. So I find it super interesting. Like running shoes are different than dancing shoes or cross training shoes and tennis shoes. So I learned all those nuances of different categories, and I think it's really amazing that we were able, like people before us have been able to like pinpoint what each sport needs in terms of support.
Right, right.
Um, so I got to work in New Balance for like 6 months as an intern. And then my next job, I wanted to be a footwear developer. Like that was my next step. And I remember finding a recruiter when Monster.com was where you got jobs. And I applied for a job at Fila, and he said, "Are you sure you want to be a developer? I've never met a designer that wants to be a developer." And I'm like, "Yes, that's what I want to do." So he thought it was very unique to find somebody that has like the sensibility of a designer that wants to be a developer. And then after that, I was a footwear developer for 12 years, 15 years after that. And
So while you were the footwear developer, you
mhm.
saw this thing about shoe design and shoe manufacturing that made you have this spark of creativity, right? And
Yeah.
so what was it about the way that shoes were being manufactured and the waste products that made you get this light going?
So in one of the jobs, I was in charge of updating the materials library and like giving them whatever they're looking for the next collection. So I got to like work with different tanneries and different suppliers and make all sorts of materials. And in the production process, all companies that are making large volumes of products, you have to buy, let's say that it takes 10 skins of leather to make 200 pairs of shoes. Let's just, for an example. You can't buy 10 skins of leather because what if those 200 pairs ends up like the leather is not a square? The leather is like a squiggly thing. So we had to buy a little bit extra, like 10 to 20% more extra to make sure that we have enough. Some companies have to buy 30% more extra, and the factories usually buy the material for the companies, and then they charge for that material to the company with the entire product. So the factory is liable for all that investment. And what I saw is that all the leftover leather sits at the factory after they're gone. After the production is done, the collection, the color is discontinued. In the majority of cases, people don't really make the same color all the time. So
Right.
I kept seeing these factories just loaded with leathers that were beautiful, and they couldn't do anything with them because there's just not enough to make another batch of production. And it's also illegal to use that leather for another company and sell it as theirs, because then it looks like that same company are using the same leathers. So,
Oh,
so it's kind of like, if, let's say like one company that's prestigious, like let's say like New Balance wants to use one leather, they have left over, and then Adidas cannot use it because now it looks like Adidas knocking them off. So
ah,
reuse it.
but it
So
can be used for a completely different type of.
yes, exactly. So what I saw was, okay, how can we use these leathers? And I used to, I decided to start my own leather accessories business. And the factory that I worked with had the same issue. He had stacks of leathers that were beautiful, but it was just not enough to make big batches. So I
Right.
said, okay, let's work on this together. I want to use these leathers. They're very unique, beautiful leathers. I make small leather kits. So they're small wallets, compact wallets. We can make a good amount, like let's say 30 to 50 per color with one skein of leather that we found. So I was like, oh, this is a good win-win for both of us because he's been sitting on that leather
Right.
for
It's just taking up space and it's so wasted.
yeah. Casupo started from the idea of like, how can we repurpose these leathers that are just going to end up in trash eventually when these companies,
Right.
eventually factories end. Right? This is going to end up in the garbage.
Right.
So here, and it's
Exactly
already
right.
there for us to use. It's at the factory. We're not wasting any money shipping it to us. Like we're really producing it, closing the cycle fully.
Right. Right. And you have something on your website, I believe, that says that it's ecologically conscious leather.
Yes, so we have two ways of being sustainable. You can be sustainable by reusing leathers that don't have any purpose anymore, and we are giving them new life. We also have a line of leathers that we buy from a tannery, but we only get 3 colors from them because we can't get those colors. Like black, brown, and whiskey are our neutral colors that we carry all year round, and they're not available in those big stacks of leathers from the factory because they don't have that color all the time.
Right.
So we buy these 3 colors from a tannery that we partner with in Mexico, who has what we call in the industry is a gold-rated. It's a gold-rated tannery certified by what it's called the Leather Working Group, and they do an audit in the tannery every year to make sure it qualifies as a sustainable tannery, which means they're using natural dyes, no toxic chemicals. It makes the leather more durable, so it gives it a longer life. And also, it doesn't give any pollution to the town. The biggest tannery issue is that the water that they waste is filled with chemicals.
Right.
So this tannery has triple filtration on top of the fact that they don't use any chemical dyes and they have fair wages. It's a fully transparent tannery. So
Oh,
we get
that's so great. Yeah. No, I think that's really important, and I think it's going to become even more important as we move into the future because, after the coronavirus shut us all down, shut the entire world down, we saw pretty quickly that the world was starting to heal because
yes.
we weren't polluting it as much because we were all in our homes. And so I think that people are going to start getting the idea that we are all inhabitants of the same world and we only have this one planet, and so we do have to be more responsible. And so I love that your company is really taking that from beginning to end and using really good sources and not being wasteful and really making some amazing products because you specialize in not just the wallets, but some really cool bags and backpacks and belts as well. Those are kind of your main products that you have available on casupo.co and in really classic colors. And I think that they are things that they're never going to go out of style,
Yeah.
which is great. Very functional items and things that are for women and for men, which I think is great. Also, in the world of coronavirus, your company has also taken on the task of creating some really sustainable and really well-made masks, face masks for people, because I think that's going to be part of our lives for a while.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, and before I talk about that, I'd like to also explain that you can be sustainable in so many ways, and I try to make an effort in that every decision that is made for the business, it is the best choice for the environment. Like from the leather that we're choosing from, the suppliers, but also like our packaging, we have like reduced packaging. Like we want to make it so everything that comes with it is either really durable or reusable. So that's something that it's important to me. And when it came to making face mask, I needed to find a way that it translated brand wise. Like how can we make a mask that is sustainable, that is not a disposable piece of fabric, because
Right.
it really is in my core to make it something that is sustainable. And how can we do that? So I started making, I've made like 4 versions. This is the 4th, right now I'm at the 4th version of the mask. And when I made the first version, it was a plastic face mask with an elastic for the ears, but I knew immediately it wasn't the right one. So I was making it while I was already designing the next version. How can you make it more comfortable? How can you make it so it's more durable? How can you make it adjustable? How can you make it so it is accommodates for people if they want to wear it behind the ears or behind their head and buy the same mask?
Right.
How can you make it reversible so people can use 2 colors and washable and like all that stuff? So I started making masks at the beginning of April, and I have a product that I'm really happy with because it's 100% cotton. It has all the features and benefits that a mask could have. Like I'm putting every single feature that a person could need for a mask in that product, and it's made with so much love and passion for product design that it's a combination of engineering and design. Did it perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how do people wash these masks? What is the recommended care?
So this is what they look like. They're all made out of fabric, like cotton fabric. And what I decided is you can put this in the washer or in the dryer if you want to. Some people that don't have a washer and dryer in their house, you can hand wash it with hot water and air dry it. But yeah, it has these like softer elastics that are really comfortable, and then you can also adjust the elastics so you can put them on the back of your head. So if you adjust the toggles, you can put them on the back of your head as well, and it has a filter in the bottom, so a filter pocket, so you can put your filter in there, and it has a nose piece. And then there's some that have patterns, so they're like reversible, like in the front is this, and then the back is like a khaki color. We have
Right.
like different versions.
Brilliant. I mean, really brilliant. And so by the time that this gets published on the YouTube channel, you may even have the next level, which is even better.
Yeah.
And you just keep creating ingenious products for people because you know what it takes to make it from the beginning to the end. And that's what you are really good at. And obviously you know what you're doing, so that's amazing. And one other thing I want to make sure that we talk about is the organization back in Venezuela that your company supports financially through the profits that you make. You have a portion of it that goes back to Venezuela to a charity called Fundanica, and it supports children with cancer.
Yes.
And so if you want to give us a quick, minute of kind of just an overview of what this charity does and how they work.
Yes, Fundanica is a nonprofit organization in Venezuela, in my hometown of Valencia, where I'm from, and they have been around for over 30 years. And they started as a foundation that helped kids get diagnosed with cancer, have the diagnostic test, because it was really hard to pay for that for children that were low-income families. Now there is a way that things are in Venezuela that are so challenging. Every week there's a different issue. Sometimes there's no water, no power, no electricity, no gas. The problems just keep accumulating. The foundation now is helping them get daily meals, medical treatment, medicines. It's really hard to get medicine, even basic ones. People are in Venezuela, they just die out of need for antibiotics, or like it's just really challenging. So the foundation helps about 300 children and young adults who have no access to medical services. So this is the first year where partnered with them. We already sent our second donation in May, which was amazing because they need them. They can always use that money. It's never enough.
Right.
So it means the world to me that I'm able to use my business as a channel to help others. And it's really all because my customers have been so supportive even during these hard times. The mask business transformed my brand, but also gave me the opportunity to help my foundation even more. Like, it's not my foundation, but like the foundation that we partner with. So yeah, that's how the business is helping others as well.
Well, and see that is the best thing ever, is that whenever you have people with true hearts to help people, whenever they're successful, they can give more. So the more that we have, the more we can give. And I think that what you're doing, because you're coming from this pure state of helping to find the best solution to some problems and issues, you're fixing things for people, whether it's, you know, holding their pants up with a belt,
Yeah.
and making it a really good belt, a very functional wallet, a functional bag that's going to last for years and years, using sustainable pieces and the leathers and everything else, and everything about your company is so well done and so well thought out. And I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that you're taking care of our planet and people, and especially the children, that I don't believe any child should ever have to suffer. And so thank you for doing that. And it has just been a pleasure being able to share this story. And I wish you so much success.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for talking to me and letting me share my story.